I'm John McMillan, and I'm here with Roger and Wade Smith, winners of this year's Chief Justice's Professionalism Award. We are on the top of Morrow Mountain in the Uwharrie Mountains, and it is January the 3rd, 2014.
And it's 27 degrees.
And it is 27 degrees.
And the wind is blowing.
So tell me what it was like growing up in Stanley County.
It was the perfect place to grow up. It was, Albemarle was a small town. It was
10,000 people?
I'd say 10,000 people. It was a time of magnificent teachers, a wonderful school system. It was a time of, I felt good citizenship everywhere. Wonderful Christmas parades, wonderful other kinds of activities, a marvelous swimming pool, great high school coaches, and of course the community we lived in, Newtown, was a mill village. It was a mill. It was really there, built by the mill. There was no running water. Our mother washed clothes in a wash pot out in the yard year round.
Built a fire under it.
I can hardly believe that is true. I have to have Roger remind me every now and then that I'm not dreaming. That our mother actually, we had a big black wash pot. We built a fire around it, and our mother washed clothes there. But we had the church. We had parents who only went to about the 8th grade, but they were great people. So we had good schools, good parents. Life was good. It was a happy place to be.
Roger, tell me what your recollection of Wade's school career was.
Well, Wade was my hero. We went to the Central Elementary School for grades 1 through 8, and by the time I came along, it was obvious that Wade had been the teacher's pet, and that I, in many ways, became the next teacher's pet. And so Wade was a hero, made great grades, president of the class, and then began to play football and became the star of the team. And I just felt like that was it for me. That's as good as it gets for me. And then I had to come to face with whether or not I was going to do those things too. And I chose to. And so I got to follow in his footsteps.
And Wade, how did he do?
Well, he did better than I did. Roger was the president of every class. He made the best grades in every class. He was a fantastic athlete. He was a big, strong boy, and he could really run fast. And I was very proud of him, very proud of everything about him. And while we had our fights, we had some legendary battles. Nevertheless, he's always been the best friend I've had.
We learned so many social skills at church because you had to get up and make a speech. You had to make a little speech at Christmas and on other occasions. And you had to sing in public, and you had to pray in public. And all of those things were, I guess other kids get those from other places, but we got that from the church. The church did all of that.
And you know, one of the things that I've often thought about that we took with us to the law early on, when we were 7, 8, 9 years old, we talked constantly of the spirit. It was spiritual. That you had this earthly body, but that you had a spirit. You owned a spirit. There was a spirit within you. And we talked constantly of forgiveness, of redemption. And these words, forgiveness, redemption, these concepts and ideas were drummed into our heads when we were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
About 20 years ago, I had to go down to eastern North Carolina to participate in some sort of an event. And after the event was over, a lady came up to me. She must have been in her late 80s. And her name was Mary Stinson. She was my 4th grade teacher. I had not seen her in years and years and years. I had never seen her again. And I had this great reunion with her, and I finally came around to something I wanted to ask her. I said, Miss Stinson, I can take it. I can take it. Tell me the truth, if you will. You're the last window through which I can see to understand what I was like as a student, as a child. What was I like as a 4th grade boy? She said, well, wait, I'm sorry to tell you that I don't remember anything about your scholarship. I don't remember anything about whether you were a good student, but I do have one really clear memory of you. Your shirts were always so nicely ironed. And I realized, our mother worked in the mill. And every night when we would go to bed, we would hear this little tinkling sound, the tiny, sweet little tinkling sound. And it was the beaded chain that hung off the cord from the ceiling, and Mother's iron was plugged into that in the kitchen.
Next to our bedroom.
And when she would iron, it would cause that little beaded chain to make a sweet little tinkling sound, and that's how we went to sleep. She was ironing late in the night, and that is why I had such nicely ironed shirts. And when I went back and looked at a class picture we had of the 4th grade, by golly, it was the truth. My shirt was the neatest ironed shirt in the whole picture.
Wade and Roger, tell us about your history here in Keenan Stadium.
Well, you got here first. Why don't you go first?
Okay, well, I came here in 1956. Freshman in 1956, Coach Jim Tatum's first year. And I remember the first day of practice. There were more people who played my position on the team than there were members of my football team in Stanley County. It was one of the most depressing events of my life. I've never seen so many bright, young, fantastic athletes, and that was the beginning. But I somehow had the good fortune to persevere and got to play some, and so that was a good thing.
Like Wade, I was overwhelmed when I got here and the team started practicing, at the number of people who were here, at how many young boys were here, and there were 13 people who played my position. And so when we would go out on the field and we would have practice, you waited 13 turns to get to carry the ball once, whereas in high school you were accustomed to carrying the ball almost every play. And that's when I went to Brother Wade, who was in law school at that time and who was a student assistant coach. And I said, I just don't think I can do this. This is just more than I can handle. I've got all these other players at my position. They're all bigger than I am. They're from all over the United States, and I just don't think I belong here. I don't think I can do this. Wade said, let me take you somewhere. And we walked up the hill, just right up outside the stadium, walked up past Winston Dorm on a little pathway that went through the Chapel Hill Cemetery. And he walked to this small tombstone, and we stopped, and he said, when I've gotten discouraged, I've come by this tombstone and I've read it. And I looked at the tombstone, and it said, they fell, and they alone, who have not striven. And I read it and I remembered it and I read it again and I remembered it. It was on my pathway from Cobb Dorm to the practice stadium, to the locker room. And I kept that with me forever and ever and ever. And it saved my neck. And Wade said, you know, just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I kept going, and all of a sudden, I'm a senior. We've got a great team. We're playing in the Gator Bowl. I'm playing with some great players, and we win the game. And so that lesson of perseverance, of just doggedly continuing, I think has served me well in my profession and just in life in general.
Wade, why is this a good place to help you think about the Professionalism Award?
Well, it's because if you're a member of a team, you have one assignment to do. It's not like you're given the assignment of making the whole play work. You have one assignment. You have one block. You have one thing to do. And you owe it to your team to do it as best you can. And you know if you don't do it, you let your team down. The same thing is true if you're on a trial team. If you're with a group of lawyers and you have an assignment, a task to do, you don't care who gets the credit for it. You want to do it the best you can do. And so in that way, being a member of a team here helped me to understand how to be a member of a team in my work.
You have both earned and are being given the Chief Justice's Professionalism Award. What does professionalism mean to you?
It means everything to me. And the idea of professionalism means respect for every man, woman, and child who comes your way who needs help. It means there are no small cases. It means that all cases are big cases. If it's kept a person up worrying about a son who's got a speeding ticket, to me, that's a big case. It means having respect for judges, caring about them, wishing them well, hoping they do well. It means respect for fellow lawyers. It means telling fellow lawyers the truth. It means telling judges the truth. It means wishing everybody in the profession well. It means hoping it does well. It means not thinking of the profession as a business. It means not thinking of just money, money, money. It means setting reasonable fees. It means doing some pro bono work. So many other things. It means doing your best, doing the very best you can do. It means starting out every day, having to earn your wings every day, start all over. What you did yesterday doesn't matter now. What you can do today is what matters. And, of course, that's just the beginning. You could go on and on about what professionalism means to me.
The system simply will not function unless there is a smoothness to it. In other words, if we expect the general public to respect the system and to respect the verdict the jury is going to return and to respect the judgment the judge is going to enter, if we expect the general public to do that, then we certainly have to exhibit respect. I think exhibiting respect for your opponent, your opposing counsel, exhibiting respect for the judge, exhibiting respect for your client and for the jurors. I think exhibiting those kinds of things is the oil which keeps the court system and our system of justice working.